Verbal reasoning is notoriously known as the lowest scoring section of the UCAT test. And that's because it's brutal when it comes to time constraints. This year, not unlike previous years, you'll find you've got the least amount of time and the most questions to deal with in that time. So it's understandable why people feel the pressure. People tend to perform least well in this section, right? But I believe with good practice, good preparation, good strategy, excellent students can actually not only do well, but actually excel in this section with relative to other sections. To succeed in this section, you must move away from reading for pleasure. Rather than that, you need to be scanning for data. That's the mode you want to be, all right? And I'll give you some kind of essential tips here to save time and improve your strategy to boost your score. Of course, I hope you'll understand that I can't deep dive. I can't give you too much information here because I just don't have the time. So hopefully if you go on my online course or come in person or attend remotely, we'll be able to deal with this a bit more. Number one thing here that I teach my students is about keyword scanning. All right, reading the whole passage, all right, kind of scanning through instead of kind of word for word reading. It's about reading that statement first, identifying the anchor word, the keyword, all right, something kind of that's easy to spot like dates, names, capitalized nouns, technical terms like say photosynthesis or something like that, things that stand out basically. It's about scanning that passage. Don't read it all. Let your eyes hover over the text and kind of looking specifically for that keyword, that anchor word. And then reading around that word, all right, once you find that word, so that kind of you get a sense of what it's talking about around that keyword. And then you can also do something to kind of confirm the answer, i.e., does that text support the statement that you need to answer, all right? If not, then you might need to scan again around that word or elsewhere where it's mentioned, all right? The main tip here is that the question is about an author's opinion or a general theme, and I find often the answer is in that first or last paragraph, understandably. In terms of like the questions around true, false, can't tell logic, UCAT's very strict, isn't it, around logical framework. And I say to my students, listen, you need to drop outside knowledge and focus over there, all right? Only judge based on what's in the text, in the passage, all right? If it's true, it means it's directly supported by the text, or the logical inference. If it's false, it's kind of explicitly contradicting the statement or the inference. And if it can't tell, if you can't say to yourself, right, I can confirm this, or I can disconfirm this, then it falls into the can't tell category. Mentally create bins, all right? Which bin can you chuck into, all right? So if a statement says something like, I don't know, all doctors are tired, and then the text is saying something like most doctors are tired, well, you know that all and most is different, right? So it's false. It's not confirming. And the third thing to mention is the flag and move strategy. And look, not all questions are worth the same mark. Spending 2 minutes on one hard question can be a disaster, potentially when there's easier points to be picked up. So triage your passages. If you see a massive wall of text about a boring or complex topic, 18th century, economics law or something like that, guess, flag it, skip it, I don't know, come back to it, all right? If you've got time later on, do the ones that you can handle first. Use elimination as a strategy, i.e., if you're stuck between a couple of options, guess one and move on. You've got 50% chance of getting it right. What you don't want to do is waste time if you can't eliminate. And if you can eliminate, great, So use that as a strategy. Learn also keyboard shortcuts. So, like next question, Alt and N, previous question, Alt and P, flag question, Alt and F. That also helps because then you're not kind of waffling about for the mouse and so forth. Another thing you can do is in your preparation is kind of do your level up around reading speed. Stop, kind of sub-vocalize. So, some people like to say the words in their head as they read. I do that quite a lot, but that slows you down, all right, because you're kind of going at your speaking voice speed. What you need to try and do is kind of mentally speak. So when you're reading, you're not using your vocal cords here silently all by. What you want to do is also look at blocks of words at a glance and see if you can make sense of it. I know it can seem a bit difficult, especially if you're like me, but when you start and keep going, you do get better. Also, peripheral vision, learn to use peripheral vision, and that is focus your eyes on the center of the line and then try to pick words around the edges without moving your eyes horizontally, like that. So it's something you can, believe me, it's something you can improve on. I believe it definitely because my daughter told me so. So yeah, crack on with it and good luck.